Hi guys, we all deeply fear death. If we are lucky, we will go peacefully. But for some people, death is truly terrifying. From agonizing deaths in ancient times to human-caused tragedies, we'll explore cases recorded through archaeological discoveries. Thanks to technology and progress, horrific deaths are now less common. But the Earth's harsh past has left behind stories we can never forget. Watch until the end to find out what the most horrifying thing is.
1. The death of the whale trainer.
We are going to explore a tragic and horrifying story about Jessica, a world-famous killer whale trainer. Her death was once a baffling mystery, but when the truth emerged, everyone was deeply shocked. Watch the video to find out what happened to her.
The real reason for Jessica's death has finally been revealed. Renowned as the world's greatest trainer of orcas and marine creatures, she had raised her orca since she was 6 years old. But her legend was primarily forged thanks to a mythical predator, an abyssal shark with pitch-black teeth and red eyes like anger that she named Caramel. For months, Jessica and Caramel fought side by side in the arena of blood. Their duo was mesmerizing. Each clash was a spectacle of power and absolute mastery. Jessica spoke to him in a language even orcs didn't understand. She claimed they were bound by a pact of respect, but Caramel had never forgotten his true nature. One day, faced with the three-headed Hydra, Jessica pushed him too far. Wounded and hungry, he smelled blood. His own and his trainer's, the bond broke, and before the eyes of an audience frozen in horror, Caramel leaped out of the magic pool and closed his jaws on her. Her cry was short, final. He devoured her slowly, as if savoring his revenge. Since then, no one dares approach a shark of the abyss.
The image of Caramel leaping out of the pool for revenge remains one of the most horrifying sights ever witnessed at the Blood Arena. What do you think about this legendary relationship and its bloody end? Let me know your opinion in the comments below.
2. Immurement.
You might think dying in agony is the most frightening thing, but I think dying in loneliness is equally terrifying. Did you know that in medieval France, there was a special punishment reserved only for women found guilty of mortal sin? It was called immurement, to be sealed alive, living inside a wall forever. Today, we'll recount the chilling true story of Alex, a young novice who was cruelly convicted and entombed forever within the monastery wall in 1314.
Did you know? In medieval France, there was a special punishment, reserved only for women found guilty of mortal sin. It was called immurement alive, to be sealed living inside a wall. In 1314, in the city of Rouen, a young novice named Alex was accused of breaking her vows for a night. The sentence was merciless. She would be entombed forever within the monastery wall, before the eyes of the whole community. The masons began laying bricks. Alex prayed, wept, then screamed, proclaiming her innocence. Some monks turned away, unable to watch. Others tried to intervene, but were silenced. The last stone was set, and despite the thickness of the wall, her voice could still be heard for a long time. Weak, trembling, begging, "Let me out." In the following weeks, several nuns claimed that at night, passing through the corridor, they heard regular knocking from within, followed by a muffled whisper, "Let me out." The bishop ordered the chamber sealed forever and forbade anyone to ever speak of it again. But the most chilling event happened many years later. In 1892, during restoration works in the monastery, workers tore down part of the forbidden wall.
But the true horror lies not in the act of being buried alive, but in what happened next. The muffled whispers and the regular knocking that haunted the nuns for weeks. So what was revealed when the forbidden wall was torn down in 1892? What do you think those workers found inside the forbidden wall?
3. La Brea Woman.
We're talking about the La Brea tar pits in California, a fossil site famous for entombing mammoths and saber-toothed tigers for 40,000 years. So what makes the discovery of a single human remains there such a huge deal? Today, we're diving into the story of the La Brea Woman, a 10,000-year-old mystery that scientists still can't fully explain.
Tip of the day. Try not to end up like this guy. This right here is a replica of a discovery known as the La Brea Woman. and they are the only human remains ever found at the La Brea tar pits. La Brea tar pits is exactly what it sounds like. It's tar that has bubbled to the surface from a petroleum deposit. It's been there for about 40,000 years, and giant dudes got stuck in it. Because of this, most of what's found at the La Brea tar pits are giant Ice Age animals, making this single discovery a huge anomaly. Analysis of these remains suggests that it dates back a staggering 10,250 years. This makes her one of America's oldest paleo-indigenous people ever found, and a direct ancestor of many West Coast modern indigenous groups. Because this discovery was made in like the 19-teens, a lot of its context has been lost. So we're not entirely sure why she ended up in the tar pits, but a fracture on the skull suggests that foul play could have been involved. You want to learn more about how truly bizarre this fossil site is, you're in luck. Because I got a chance to go behind the scenes and even pet a saber-toothed tiger. Come check it out, YouTube Mini Minute Man.
The discovery of the La Brea woman is a historical anomaly, a lone human found amidst thousands of giant animal fossils. The most chilling part is the loss of context and the fracture on her skull, suggesting she didn't just die by accident.
For Garnet Ray Stannard.
In 1991, the Labrador ski race was cancelled due to a horrible skiing accident. Garnet Ray Stannard, a 20-year-old contestant, was going downhill at full speed when he suddenly lost control near the finish line. What happened next was one of the most terrifying scenes ever recorded in sports history.
This is the most disturbing sporting accident ever. In 1991, the Labrador race was cancelled due to a horrible skiing accident. Garnet Ray Stannard, a 20-year-old contestant, was going downhill at full speed when he suddenly lost control as he was approaching the finish line and then slammed head-on into safety nets at extremely high speeds. This then trapped one of his skis inside the net, which resulted in his leg almost being completely torn off. He then begins spinning out of control with a trail of blood following him, staining the entire mountain. His body then stops at the bottom of the hill as a pool of blood forms around him and people come over to help. He also fractured his pelvis and was literally ripped in half. The impact caused serious internal injuries, fractures, and nerve damage. He was transported by helicopter to a hospital where he received multiple blood transfusions. But despite receiving blood transfusions before and after the operations, he passed away from severe pelvic bleeding. This is just awful. And what makes it worse that there's a video of the whole situation unfolding on the internet. Rest in peace to Garnet, and what a terrible, terrible accident.
Garnet Ray Stannard's accident was a horrific tragedy, not only because of the loss of a young man, but also because of the sheer violence of the impact. The fact that the entire event was recorded and still exists on the internet makes it even more haunting. This is a painful reminder of the fragile line between high-speed sport and deadly danger. Rest in peace, Garnet.
5. 14-year-old boy and electric chair.
At the age of 14, a time when life should only be beginning, this boy faced death instead of preparing for the future. Today, we delve into one of the darkest and most heartbreaking chapters in American judicial history, the story of a young boy convicted and executed in the electric chair. Imagine a child sitting in that chair. The sentence lasted mere minutes, yet it left a stain of injustice and guilt that has lasted for decades.
On June 16, 1944, a 14-year-old boy was executed by electric chair in Columbia, South Carolina. 3 months earlier, 2 white girls disappeared and were later found dead. George Stinney had volunteered to join the search party with his father. He mentioned to a bystander that he had seen the girls briefly the day they went missing. Though there was no evidence connecting George to the murders, he was immediately arrested and subjected to hours of interrogation. George's father was fired from his job, and his family was forced to flee after receiving death threats. George faced trial alone, as no black people were allowed in the courthouse. An all-white jury deliberated for 10 minutes before convicting George Stinney with murder, and the 14-year-old was sentenced to death. George Stinney remains the youngest person to be executed in the United States.
What makes us shiver the most is the boy's age, a child too young to fully comprehend death, yet forced to face it alone. This case is a painful reminder of the cruelty of prejudice and our responsibility to ensure true justice, not just quick judgment.
6. Girl was killed by 30 dogs.
Michaela Fortner, a 15-year-old girl in Arkansas, was attacked and killed by the very stray dogs she and her mother were temporarily taking care of. She had been running everywhere to find permanent homes for them, but when she delivered food on a fateful Wednesday afternoon, the group of dogs turned on her, leading to an irreversible tragedy. Watch this video for more detail.
A 15-year-old girl in Arkansas was attacked and killed by 30 stray dogs she was temporarily feeding. On Wednesday, the police received a report that a woman had been attacked by a dog. When the police arrived at the scene, they found the girl dead and later identified her as 15-year-old Michaela Fortner. According to the neighbors, a few days ago, when Michaela and her mother saw this group of malnourished dogs, they decided to take care of them temporarily. Michaela also ran around everywhere to find permanent homes for these dogs. However, when Michaela tried to deliver food by herself on Wednesday, this group of dogs attacked her, causing a tragedy. As early as when they first took in this group of dogs, the neighbors had expressed opposition because these dogs would run around nearby and bark at their children. The neighbors added that they had complained to the government about these animals a long time ago, but the government said it could do nothing about these dogs. But after this attack, 14 dogs have been euthanized, and the others have also been controlled. I don't understand. Why not take measures earlier? Then this tragedy would not have happened.
It is baffling why neighbors' warnings about the dog's danger were ignored by the authorities. It wasn't until Michaela Fortner, a kind young girl, tragically lost her life that 14 dogs were euthanized and the others were brought under control. Her death is a painful indictment of the authorities' delayed action and a costly lesson about the fragile line between compassion and danger.
7. Edward Mordrake's story.
Imagine having to live your entire life with an evil face on the back of your head. A face that couldn't speak but whispered horrible things into your ear every night. Today, we're delving into the chilling story of Edward Mordrake, a 19th century nobleman who was born with a rare deformity, a second face located on the back of his head.
This man lived his whole life with an evil face on the back of his head. His name was Edward Mordrake, and he was born in the 19th century. His parents were expecting the birth of their first child. What they did not imagine was the strange condition that their son suffered from, a disease called diprosopis. Edward was born with two faces. One of them was somewhat smaller, and with a terrifying aspect. It was located in the back of Edward's neck. Due to his deformity, Edward grew up apart from society. His reclusion served him to study and become a cultured man with a great talent in music. Over time, Edward's second face began to show his evil nature. It was said that he mocked Edward when he cried and looked contemptuously at those who passed behind him. This condition tormented Edward. He said that his evil face whispered atrocious things at night so that Edward could not sleep. Edward fell into a deep depression and begged doctors to remove his evil face. But the advances in medicine at that time did not allow such an operation. Edward ended up taking his own life at the age of 23, leaving a note apologizing for what his departure would cause and asking that the evil face be removed so he could rest in peace.
Edward Mordrake's death at the age of 23 was a tragic end to a life of relentless torment. The greatest horror wasn't the physical deformity, but the mental torture caused by that face, the relentless, wicked whispers. His suicide note, begging doctors to remove the evil face so he could finally rest in peace, is the most chilling detail. What do you think? Was that face truly the embodiment of a demon, or just the product of an extremely tormented mind?
8. Larry Illy Mankata.
Imagine vanishing without a trace for 10 long years. No phone calls, no news, just seeming to disappear into thin air. Today, we're going to tell the gruesome tragedy of Larry Ely Mankata, who disappeared during a snowstorm in 2009. But the most horrifying thing wasn't the disappearance, but the truly terrifying way his body was found a decade later.
This might be one of the most disturbing deaths ever. In 2009, during a brutal snowstorm in Iowa, 25-year-old Larry Ely Mankata stormed out of his parents' house and vanished. For 10 long years, his disappearance was a complete mystery. No phone calls, no sightings, no body. Just a young man who seemed to disappear into thin air. Then, in 2019, workers demolished a no-frills supermarket in County Bluffs and made a discovery so horrifying it barely seemed real. Wedged in an 18-inch gap between a cooler and the wall was a badly decomposed body. DNA confirmed it was Larry, and he actually worked at this very store years earlier. Investigators believed he climbed on top of the coolers, possibly to hide or rest, but then slipped into the gap and became trapped forever. The refrigeration units were so loud that no one could have heard his screams for help. While the world searched for him, Larry had been there the entire time, hidden in the walls of a grocery store, his body decaying just feet from where people once shopped for food.
For 10 years, while the world searched, Larry was there, trapped forever in a narrow gap. The most haunting thing was the silence. The noise from the refrigeration units muffled every scream for help, causing him to die in despair just feet away from other people. This story reminds me of a mother who searched for her daughter for over 20 years, only to find out the girl was hidden by her father in a basement 6 meters directly beneath her. Truly haunting. Drop a comment and let me know which lost media game or video you want me to explore next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow so I can keep protecting you from these creepy mysteries. Thanks for watching, my dear friends. See you in the next video. Bye.